A raven stole my winning lottery ticket. I chased it under a delivery truck, died, and woke on a summoning altar while 600 students watched a professor call me magical trash. Professor Aldrich held my wrist above a blue crystal. He had silver hair, a red robe, and just a why the sandal and the warm smile of a butcher weighing a cow. 9 points, he announced. The number did not match the crystal. 96 lines of light burned inside it. I could count. The students in the front row could also count. Their whispers rolled across the ceremonial hall. "It shows 96, a girl said. Aldrich turned his sleeve over the crystal. When he lifted it again, only 9 lines remained visible. "The device is unstable," he said. "Nolan has almost no mana and no family sponsor. A result of 96 would be absurd. We will use the corrected score." The body's memories settled. Nolan was a 17-year-old orphan who had studied 6 years and eaten porridge for 2 months to afford this ceremony. He should have chosen his familiar first. Instead, Aldrich pointed to the golden-haired boy beside me. Jarek scored 83. Sponsor priority places him first. The hall erupted in applause. Half the students wore badges made by Jarek's family. His father had paid for the new arena roof. Apparently, that roof came with a free piece of my future. Jarek walked past me and stopped long enough to smile. "Do not look so serious," he said. "You can still summon a cleaning animal. The academy has many floors." He placed his hand on the first silver seal. A golden hawk appeared in a column of fire. Its wings were wider than a dining table. Its feathers shone like coins, and its public combat score reached 210. The crowd shouted his name. The hawk looked at them as if it had personally invented sunlight. The other students chose frost cats, stone hounds, and shield turtles while I waited beside the altar. When the last seal faded, Aldrich picked up a sheet of paper. "Nolan failed to form a suitable bond. His elite scholarship is cancelled. His room will be reassigned tonight." That was the second theft of the day, and the raven had not even arrived yet. 2 servants dropped my wooden chest beside my feet. My shirts spilled across the floor while laughter filled the hall. I folded the shirts and put them back into the chest. I did not argue. Aldrich controlled the ceremony. Jarek controlled the crowd. Anger would give them a third thing to take. "There is one unregistered creature," the girl in the front row said. She had brown hair tied with a green ribbon. 3 tiny sparrows sat on her shoulders. The memories identified her as Tessa, a student from the familiar care division. Aldrich's smile tightened. "That creature is not suitable." Something black moved behind the empty cages. A small raven hopped into the light. One wing dragged across the floor. 2 tail feathers were bent. A copper button filled its beak. It looked less like a battle familiar and more like a wet sock that had developed strong opinions. The appraisal crystal lit beneath its feet. Its rank was F. Its level was 1. Its attack value was 0. Its mana value was 3. The laughter became louder. Jarek bent over laughing. His golden hawk lowered its head with him. "Perfect," Jarek said. "The thief gets a thief." The raven hopped toward him and pulled a gold clasp from his boot. The laughter changed direction. Jarek's face turned red. He reached for the bird, but I moved first. I placed my hand on the raven's head. The world went silent. A cold line passed from my fingers to my heart. The system spoke inside my mind. It said that a compatible familiar had been found. It asked whether I accepted a permanent bond with the nameless black raven. I looked down. The bird looked back with one bright eye. It still held Jarek's clasp. "I accept," I said. The bond closed. The raven's name became Rook. His attack value remained 0. The crowd needed several breaths before it began laughing again. Aldrich stamped an F on my registration card. He did it so hard that the wood cracked. "You have until tomorrow's qualification test," he said. "Score fewer than 10 points, and both of you will be removed from Greywing Academy." Jarek took back his clasp and leaned close to me. "My hawk scored 210 before training," he whispered. "Your bird could attack the target for a week and still lose to the wind." Rook stole one of his cuff buttons. I decided I liked Rook. By the time I carried my chest outside, the public board ranked me number 256. Last place. Someone had drawn a black chicken beside my name. Rook sat on my chest and examined the drawing. Then he pecked the board exactly where Jarek's name stood. Good choice, I told him. Bad timing. I owned 4 copper coins. Raw chicken scraps cost 2, so I bought them. Rook swallowed the first piece whole. He pushed the second piece toward me with his beak. I cannot eat that raw. He stared at me. I died this morning. I would prefer not to do it again before dinner. A soft laugh came from behind me. Tessa stood beside the market stall. The sparrows had been replaced by a sleepy brown owl on her arm. The Old North Aviary has an empty loft, she said. The roof leaks, but only in 6 places. That sounds expensive. It is free. The academy stopped using it after the geese attacked a dean. How badly? He still refuses to eat eggs. I picked up my chest. Lead the way. The ivy-covered North Aviary smelled of straw and cedar. Its loft held a narrow bed, a cracked wash basin, and a round window. It was better than the room I had lost. Tessa examined Rook's injured wing. No broken bones, she said. He was caught in a binding net. Someone cut away the registration mark. Why? A familiar without a mark can be sold twice. Rook bit the metal tool in her hand. He also has terrible manners, she added. That may be why they returned him. She cleaned his wing with hot water and bitter herbs. Rook complained by stealing 3 hairpins and placing them under my pillow. Tessa found the first 2. I did not tell her about the third. When the sun disappeared, she brought a clay pot from downstairs. Chicken broth steamed beneath the lid. It contained thick noodles, sliced carrots, fried onion, and small pieces of meat. She tore a loaf of dark bread in half and poured melted butter over the warm center. The smell hit me harder than the truck had. You spent your last coins on him, she said, so I assumed you had forgotten that heroes also require food. I am ranked last. Then eat quickly. You have a long climb. She had seen the real Nolan before I had shown her anything useful. I remembered that. Rook dipped his beak into the butter. He is not allowed on the table, Tessa said. Rook stepped onto my bowl instead. That is technically different, I said. Someone struck the aviary door below. The birds became quiet. Aldrich climbed the stairs with 2 academy guards. He carried a red staff. Jarek followed him, wearing a new set of gold clasps. Unregistered housing, Aldrich said. Possession of academy feed. Concealment of a diseased familiar. You are collecting violations quickly. Tessa stood between him and the cages. The feed is mine. The birds are under my care. Move aside. Aldrich lifted Rook's damaged wing. A faint black line showed beneath the feathers. His expression changed for less than a second. He recognized the mark. Then he drew his staff. Shadow rot, he announced. The creature must be destroyed before it infects the academy. Tessa's face went pale. That is not shadow rot. It is ink from a binding seal. Are you challenging a senior instructor? I am challenging a man who cannot tell ink from a disease. Jarek made a small choking sound. One of the guards looked at the floor. Aldrich pointed his staff at Rook. Red light gathered at the tip. The memories in my head identified the spell. Grand Fireball, an advanced attack that required 180 mana and 6 years of study. Stand back, Aldrich ordered. I reached for Rook, but the raven launched himself from the table. A ball of fire wider than his body crossed the loft. Rook opened his beak. The fire vanished. No explosion followed. No heat struck the walls. The spell folded into a red bead the size of a cherry and landed between Rook's jaws. Everyone stopped moving. One of the guards whispered a prayer. Rook landed on my shoulder. Smoke rose from his tail. The bead burned inside his beak, but he seemed more interested in Aldrich's silver collar pin. The system spoke again. It said that the first impossible possession had been stolen. The target had actively owned 1 Grand Fireball. Its measured force was 620. Its theft weight was 90. Rook's safe carrying limit was 100. One of 12 marked flight feathers had been consumed. A white line appeared along Rook's left wing. The system offered 3 class paths: Lord of Ravens, Thief of Magic, Herald of Fate. I understood the choice immediately. Lord of Ravens promised numbers. Herald of Fate promised knowledge. Thief of Magic broke ownership itself. I choose Thief of Magic. I said. The words were quiet, but the bond carried them. My class changed. Rook gained one theft slot. He could take something actively used within 10 meters. He could hold only one stolen possession at a time. A stolen object remained an object. A stolen spell remained ready to cast. The greater its weight, the more feathers he would lose. It was one ability. It was simple. It also ignored the most important law of magic. A spell belonged to its caster until it struck a target or faded. No ritual could change that. No artifact could interrupt ownership after release. Rook had treated the law like another shiny button. Aldrich lowered his staff. "I give that back." Rook swallowed the red bead. Aldrich took one step away. "You saw shadow rot," he told the guards. Neither guard answered. "You entered with an attack spell prepared," I said. "Tessa saw it. Your guards saw it. If the fire signature appears tomorrow, 600 more people will see it." Aldrich's eyes moved from me to Rook. He wanted to kill us. He also wanted to know how the theft worked. Greed won by a small margin. "The qualification begins at sunrise," he said. "Fail, and the creature becomes Academy property." He turned and walked downstairs. Jarek stayed behind for one extra breath. "That was a trick," he said. Rook pulled the top clasp from his boot again. Jarek chased Aldrich without asking for it back. Tessa closed the door and leaned against it. "Did your F-rank Raven just eat an advanced spell?" "Yes." "Can he release it?" I looked at the public combat seal above Rook's head. His personal attack still read 0. A second number now glowed beneath it. Stored force, 620. "We will know at sunrise." I spent the night measuring Rook's flight distance. We could not test the stolen spell because it would work only once. At dawn, the target yard was full. News had crossed the dormitories during the night. 600 students crowded the wooden stands. The ranking board showed my name at the bottom, beside the black chicken drawing. Jarek stood in the center with his golden hawk. Aldrich sat beside 3 judges. He wore a fresh silver pin. "The final demonstration will decide Nolan's removal," he announced. "To ensure fairness, Jarek will set the standard." The word fairness nearly made Tessa choke. Jarek raised one hand. His hawk climbed 50 meters, folded its wings, and dropped like a gold spear. Fire covered its claws. It struck the first iron target. The plate bent inward. The measuring crystal rang. 218 points. The stands exploded with cheers. Jarek walked past me and removed one jeweled glove. "If your Raven scores 10, I will give you this," he said loudly. "If he scores less, you will bow and thank Professor Aldrich for removing you." The students laughed. I examined the glove. It was worth at least 40 silver. "Agreed." Tessa touched my sleeve. "Rook has one bad wing. Do not make him dive." "He does not need to." I walked to the firing line. The second target was twice as thick as the first. Aldrich had chosen it himself. "Begin," he said. Rook flew from my shoulder. He rose only 3 meters. Several students laughed before he even stopped moving. I pointed at the target. "Return the professor's fireball." Rook opened his beak. The morning turned red. The grand fireball crossed the yard and swallowed the iron plate. The ground shook. Heat pushed the first 3 rows backward. The target did not bend. It became a bright orange puddle. The measuring crystal rang once, then it cracked. A second crystal activated beneath the judge's platform. 620 points. No one laughed. Rook landed on the melted target stand and shook soot from his feathers. He looked like a burned brush that had just won an argument. The public ranking board changed. My position rose from 256 to 64. My base combat score increased from 8 to 34. Rook reached level 3. Our bond doubled. The stored force disappeared, but the experience remained. After 5 silent breaths, someone shouted my name. The stands joined him while instructors ran toward the molten target. Jarek still held his jeweled glove. I extended my hand. 10 points would have been enough. His golden hawk stared at the orange puddle. Jarek stared at the crowd. Refusing now would be worse than losing the glove. He dropped it into my palm. Rook took it before I could close my fingers. The front row laughed at Jarek. His face went from red to white. He turned to Aldrich, expecting help. Aldrich was staring at the fire residue. Every mage had a unique signature. That spell still carried his. The senior judge lifted the prize box. First qualification reward, 30 silver and 1 low-grade mana crystal voucher. Nolan and Rook remain enrolled. The crowd cheered again. Yesterday, they had watched servants throw my clothes onto the floor. That morning, students repeated my score as if they had supported me from the beginning. Rumor moved faster than any bird in the aviary. Before I left the yard, the black chicken drawing had been erased from the ranking board. Someone replaced it with a black crown. I collected the 30 silver. 20 would restore Rook's damaged feather. 3 would pay for dinner. 7 would remain for training, power, resources, and status. All 3 had moved. That was enough for one morning. Tessa cooked in the aviary again. She browned chicken pieces in butter, added onions and carrots, then poured broth over thick noodles. The bread was fresh this time. Steam escaped when I broke the crust. Rook received his own plate, which did not prevent him from taking butter from mine. Tessa sat across from me. 620, she said. It was not our power, it was borrowed. Stolen. Borrowed without permission. That is a long way to say stolen. Rook placed Aldrich's old silver pin beside her bowl. Neither of us had seen him take it. Someone nailed a notice to the aviary door. The red seal belonged to Aldrich. The gold seal belonged to Jarek's family. The notice declared Rook an unlicensed magical weapon. At noon the next day, I would enter the freshman tournament. I had to win 5 matches. If I lost even once, the academy would confiscate my familiar for examination. At the bottom waited a 3rd seal. It belonged to the Imperial Soul Bureau. Rook looked at the shining black wax. Then the system told me that the man who had signed the order was currently using 7 seconds of purchased luck. The second morning began with Rook trying to steal the sunrise from the round window. He struck the glass 3 times, failed, and settled for Tessa's green ribbon. I used the academy voucher at the familiar clinic. The clerk placed a low-grade mana crystal beneath Rook's damaged wing. Blue light flowed into the white line along his feather. After 10 minutes, the feather turned black again. The crystal cost 20 silver without the voucher. That meant every serious theft had a price equal to 6 hot meals or 1 week in a cheap room. Rook had 12 marked flight feathers. I had 7 silver in my pocket and 1 jeweled glove worth 40. Unlimited power had not arrived. It had sent an invoice. Tessa waited outside the clinic with a leather training glove on one hand. "The tournament gates open in 2 hours," she said. "Your first opponent has a stone turtle. Your second has a poison lizard. Your third uses wind magic." "How did you get the bracket?" One of her sparrows dropped a folded sheet into her palm. Birds hear many things. People rarely stop talking when a pigeon is nearby. Rook puffed out his chest. "No," Tessa told him. "You cannot eat the bracket." He waited until she looked away and ate the corner. We trained behind the aviary. Rook's injured wing was stronger after the crystal, but he still pulled left during a fast turn. Tessa tied a tiny strip of red cloth to his good wing. It changed his balance by less than 1 ounce. His next turn became clean. "You noticed that from the ground?" I asked. "I noticed it yesterday." "Why did you wait until now?" "Yesterday, he would have bitten me." Rook bit her glove. "He is considering it today," I said. She smiled and gave him a piece of dried apple. He released the glove at once. I practiced the 3 basic spells Nolan's body knew. Spark produced enough light to find a keyhole. Push could move 10 pounds for 2 meters. Thread created a line of mana that broke under 20 pounds of force. None of them could damage Jarek's Golden Hawk. That did not make them useless. The tournament arena had 8 fighting circles and seats for 1,200 spectators. Every match appeared on a crystal wall above the central platform. The public ranking board stood beside it. My name remained at 64 because the qualification score had forced the board to accept me. The tournament registrar examined Rook's card. "The confiscation condition is valid," she said. 5 victories preserve ownership. 1 loss transfers the familiar to the research division. Who requested the condition? Professor Aldrich. Jarek's family paid the review fee. The Imperial Seal confirms that a familiar capable of interrupting bonded magic may be detained. And if I win 5 times? The condition expires in front of every witness here. Aldrich cannot file it again without new evidence. I signed. The registrar lowered her voice. No one in the research division returns an unusual familiar. Then I will not send him there. Rook stole the pen from her hand and carried it into the arena. My first opponent was a broad student with a square shield. His stone turtle stood knee-high and weighed almost 300 pounds. Its shell could stop an attack worth 150 points. My base combat score was 34. The betting board gave me odds of 12 to 1. Jarek sat in the sponsor section. Aldrich sat beside him. The golden hawk rested above them beneath a silk canopy, looking like a chandelier with wings. The judge dropped a white flag. The turtle charged. Rook flew left. Just as Tessa had predicted, his damaged wing dipped. My opponent saw it and ordered the turtle to turn after him. I used push on the red cloth tied to Rook's good wing. The spell moved less than 1 pound. That was all I needed. Rook snapped right. The turtle continued left and struck the arena wall. Its short legs kept moving. Its shell became wedged between 2 wooden posts. I walked forward and touched the victory seal on its back. The fight lasted 14 seconds. At first, the audience stayed quiet. Then laughter rolled across the lower seats. The turtle's owner pulled on its tail while the animal stared at him with the patient disappointment of an old teacher. The judge raised my flag. 1 victory. The confiscation notice lost its first red line. Jarek stopped smiling. My second opponent carried a green lizard around his neck. The creature spat sleep venom. 1 drop could knock out a horse for an hour. The student wore a control whistle between his teeth. Every sharp note changed the direction of the lizard's attack. The judge dropped the flag. Rook did not fly toward the lizard. He flew toward the whistle. The student closed both hands over it. Rook landed on his head, pulled his hair, and stole the whistle when he shouted. The next cloud of venom struck the empty side of the ring. Without the whistle, the lizard followed the brightest moving object. Rook dropped Jarek's gold clasp in front of the boundary line. The lizard chased it out of the arena. The judge stared at the boundary. Then he raised my flag. 2 victories. The crowd began chanting Rook's name. The sound pleased him so much that he stole the judge's whistle too. The confiscation notice lost its second line. Jarek leaned toward Aldrich. I could not hear the words, but I saw the professor shake his head. They had expected 1 stolen fireball. They had not expected planning. My third opponent was a thin mage with a blue falcon. His combat score was 120. He had watched my first 2 matches and kept every shiny object inside his coat. "Your bird cannot steal what I do not carry," he said. "That is true." He smiled. "Thank you for admitting it." The judge dropped the flag. The mage raised both hands and released Wind Needle. 20 blades of compressed air crossed the ring. Rook flew directly at them. The blue falcon's owner laughed too early. Rook opened his beak. The wind vanished. A clear bead formed between his jaws. The system told me that 1 active wind needle had been stolen. Its force was 94. Its theft weight was 14. 1 marked feather faded to gray. Rook turned in the air. "Send it back," I said. 20 wind blades struck the ground around the blue falcon. None touched its body. They cut a perfect circle through the painted boundary. The falcon landed outside the ring because there was no safe ground left inside it. The judge raised my flag. 3 victories. The audience stood. Yesterday, some of them had argued that Aldrich's fireball must have been hidden inside an artifact. Now they had watched Rook take a new spell in the middle of a cast. The crystal wall replayed the moment from 3 angles. Every replay made the cheering louder. The public board changed Rook's description. His rank remained F because ranks measured natural ability. A new title appeared beneath it, Spell Thief. The title spread through the seats in less than a minute. 1 feather had paid for 1 spell. To restore it would cost 20 silver. The spell had won a match worth at least 40 silver in tournament rewards. The numbers worked. My fourth opponent had no magic to steal. His iron boar possessed a combat score of 280 and a charge strong enough to break stone. He also knew about Rook's bad wing. The boar chased Rook high, low, left, then left again. Every turn forced the raven closer to the wall. Tessa gripped the rail beside the ring. I saw her count each uneven beat of his wing. The owner raised his fist. "Finish it!" The iron boar charged. I cast thread between two broken posts from the first match. The line could hold only 20 pounds. The boar weighed more than 600. It snapped the thread without slowing. That was the point. The broken mana flashed across its eyes. It closed them for half a second. Rook climbed. The boar missed him and struck the sponsor board beneath Jarek's seat. Gold-painted wood exploded upward. Jarek jumped away. Aldrich did not. A large piece of the letter J landed around his neck. The audience laughed so hard that the judge needed to signal for silence twice. The boar had crossed the boundary. 4 victories. My base combat score rose from 34 to 72. Rook reached level 4. The system increased his theft range from 10 meters to 12. We had not become stronger than the iron boar. We had become good enough to make its strength choose the wrong target. Only Jarek remained. Workers repaired the central ring. The sponsor section filled again. Students from every division crowded the stairs. The betting board changed until the odds stood at 2-1 against me. Jarek entered in white armor. The golden hawk flew above him. A blue crystal shield covered its body. "That shield resists 800 points of fire," he announced. "Your stolen trick scored 620. Even if you still had it, you could not break my defense. I used the spell yesterday. Then this will be shorter than I expected." His confidence was real, but so was the fear beneath it. I saw his fingers shake while he fastened one gold clasp. "My father gave the academy its arena," he said quietly. "If I lose to an orphan with an F-rank bird, he will give my place to my younger brother. You are not taking this from me." For the first time, he sounded like a person instead of a trumpet wearing boots. "You took my place yesterday?" I said. "The difference is that I intend to earn yours." The judge raised the flag. A young woman in a white seer's coat stepped beside him. Her name was Sabine. Her family certified all uses of fate magic in the capital. "Jarek has registered one legal blessing," she announced. 7 seconds of favorable fate, purchased for 100 gold. It may activate once during the match. 100 gold for 7 seconds. The rich did not buy better lives. They rented the laws of the world. The flag fell. The golden hawk became a line of fire. Rook dived beneath it. The hawk turned faster and cut 3 black feathers from his tail. Jarek attacked with a training sword while his familiar controlled the sky. I blocked once with my forearm and lost feeling in 2 fingers. Our combined combat score was 72. His was 360. The crowd stopped chanting. Jarek drove me toward the boundary. The hawk circled behind Rook. Aldrich rose from his seat. "End it now," he shouted. Jarek touched the gold seal on his chest. The blessing activated. I saw nothing. Rook saw a golden thread. The system told me that the target actively possessed 7 seconds of favorable fate. Its theft weight was 60. Rook had 1 open slot. The object was within 12 meters. "Take his luck." Rook crossed the distance. His beak closed on empty air. A thin golden ribbon appeared between his jaws. 1 marked feather turned white. Jarek's 7 seconds began. During the first second, the golden hawk inhaled a loose tail feather and sneezed. During the second, its fire struck Jarek's blue shield from behind. During the third, the shield expanded around its owner instead of the familiar. During the fourth, Jarek ran forward inside a rolling blue sphere. During the fifth, the sphere hit the broken sponsor board. During the sixth, the board acted like a ramp. During the seventh, Jarek flew over the boundary and landed in the ornamental fountain beneath his father's stone statue. The statue's water poured directly onto his head. The arena became silent. Rook swallowed the golden ribbon. The luck transferred through our bond. My numb hand closed around the victory seal that had fallen from Jarek's armor. Rook landed on the golden hawk at the exact moment its shield failed. The hawk flapped once, lost balance, and sat down beside him like a very expensive cushion. The judge looked at Jarek in the fountain. He looked at me holding the seal. Then he raised my flag. 5 victories. For 1 breath, no one reacted. Sabine was the first. She stared at Rook with both hands pressed over her mouth. "His fate vanished," she whispered. For 7 seconds, Jarek had none. The crystal wall replayed the flight into the fountain. The audience exploded. 1,200 witnesses shouted. Students stamped their feet until dust fell from the arena roof Jarek's father had purchased. The sponsor board displayed my name above his. Vendors outside changed the price of black feathers from 1 copper to 5. Jarek climbed from the fountain. Green leaves covered his white armor. A small silver fish had entered his collar. Rook landed on his head and stole the final gold clasp. Jarek did not try to stop him. The confiscation notice burned away in front of the registrar. My ranking rose from 64 to 8. My base combat score increased from 72 to 110. Rook reached level 5. The judges awarded 3 gold coins and permanent ownership protection under Academy law, power, money, status. All 3 moved again. Aldrich left before the award ceremony ended. The students saw him go. They also saw Jarek stand alone beneath the sponsor banner while the crowd chanted the name of an F-rank Raven. Tessa met me at the arena gate. She did not hug me. She struck my shoulder with both hands. You let an iron boar come within 1 foot of him. The plan required 9 inches. That is worse. Then she pulled Rook against her chest and checked every feather. He allowed it for almost 4 seconds before stealing her ribbon. We went to the night market with 3 gold in my purse. I bought 2 low-grade monocrystals for 40 silver. That restored both spent feathers and left enough money to live for months if I remained careful. For dinner, a cook fried wide noodles in beef fat. He added thin slices of meat, red peppers, mushrooms, garlic, and a dark sweet sauce. The edges of the noodles became crisp. Tessa bought hot milk with honey. Rook received a bowl of apple pieces and still stole 1 mushroom from my plate. People recognized us. A child asked Rook to steal his brother's bad singing voice. A merchant offered 5 silver for 1 black feather. 3 first-year students requested training advice. The same crowd that had called him a chicken now argued over whether his title should be Spell Thief or King of Thieves. Rook preferred King. He stole the voting chalk and marked that choice himself. Tessa watched me count the remaining coins. "You won," she said. "You are allowed to smile. I am calculating how many feathers we can repair. You can calculate while smiling." I tried. She laughed. It was not a large moment. No system announcement followed. My combat score did not rise. I still remembered it more clearly than the cheering. We returned to the aviary after midnight. Aldrich waited inside. 4 faculty guards stood behind him. He carried a tribunal summons with the director's seal. "The tournament established that your familiar can steal soul-bound property," he said. "Tomorrow, a public tribunal will determine whether you used forbidden fate magic and whether your class must be erased. You tried confiscation. It failed. This is not confiscation. This is criminal judgment." He had prepared every word. I could see him repeating the speech silently before he spoke. He remembered a meeting in a dark office, a bag of gold on a table, and a man from the capital telling him exactly what to say. Rook tilted his head. The system told me that the memory was being actively used. For the first time, something made of pale glass appeared behind Aldrich's eyes. It was 11 minutes long, and Rook wanted it. The 3rd day began before sunrise because public disgrace apparently kept office hours. The summons gave me 4 hours. Class erasure could destroy Rook, but Aldrich had invited 2,000 witnesses. That made secrecy difficult. I spent 20 silver on a reserve monocrystal and entered the grand court. Every seat beneath the glass dome was occupied. 4 mirrors carried the hearing to the crowd outside. The charge was use of forbidden fate magic. The penalty was class erasure, permanent expulsion, and transfer of my familiar to the Imperial Soul Bureau. The transfer line drew shouts. 2 days earlier, no one would have noticed if Aldrich stepped on Rook. Now, children outside held wooden ravens above their heads. The tribunal entered. Professor Aldrich stood at the accuser's table. He wore his red robe and a replacement silver pin. 4 senior instructors sat behind him. Sabine occupied the witness chair. Her white coat carried the blue eye of the capital seers. A young woman with short dark hair arranged documents beside the highest seat. Her name was Petra. She was the director's daughter and served as his official secretary. Director Garin sat beside her. Nolan's memories described a kind man who had opened the winter kitchens to poor students. He placed one hand on Petra's shoulder. She moved away before his fingers touched her. The motion was small. I remembered it. Garin struck the judgment bell. This court will determine facts, not popularity, he said. Professor Aldrich, present your claim. Aldrich stepped forward. The pale memory behind his eyes became brighter. 2 nights ago, Nolan possessed no combat class and a familiar with 0 attack, he said. Within 1 day, that familiar reproduced my private spell. During the tournament, it interfered with certified fate. Such growth cannot be natural. Nolan must possess an illegal soul artifact. The audience muttered. He had chosen his argument well. He did not deny the bribe, the altered score, or his attempt to burn Rook. He made those actions sound unimportant beside a threat to the entire magic system. Sabine, Garen said. Did Nolan cast forbidden fate magic? Sabine stood. No. The single word crossed the court. Aldrich's jaw tightened. Explain, Garen ordered. Jarek activated a legal blessing containing 7 seconds of favorable fate. I watched the blessing leave him. For 7 seconds, his future became empty. The favorable events moved to Nolan and Rook. I detected no spell, ritual, artifact, or divine contract. Then, how did it happen? Sabine looked directly at Rook. The Raven stole it. The court erupted. Students stood on benches. Instructors shouted across the floor. One elderly mage dropped his notes and did not notice. The projection mirrors repeated Sabine's words to the crowd outside. Aldrich raised both hands. That statement proves my case. Fate is not property. A living bond cannot be removed. If the bird can violate that law, it is a threat to every awakened person in the kingdom. A sword is a threat to everyone with skin, I said. You still gave Jarek one for the tournament. Laughter spread through the upper balcony. Garen struck the bell. Nolan, describe your class. Thief of magic. Rook can take one thing actively used within 12 meters. He can carry 1 possession. Greater weight harms him. Can he steal a class? I do not know. Can he steal a soul? The court became still. Rook stopped playing with the red thread. The question had come too quickly. No one had mentioned souls except the bureau named in the transfer order. The class was 2 days old. Even I had not considered that limit. I do not know, I repeated. Garen's smile returned. Uncertainty creates danger. For the protection of the academy, temporary transfer may be appropriate. Petra looked at him. Father, the court has not examined the instructor's conduct. It is not relevant to the class. It is relevant to the accusation. Her voice was respectful, but the room heard the challenge beneath it. Aldrich began his prepared answer. My conduct followed bureau guidance. On the night in question, I identified a corrupted registration mark and acted to protect the school. 3 months earlier, I had received instructions concerning such marks from an authorized representative. The memory behind his eyes opened. He was using it to keep every detail of the lie straight. The system told me that Rook could steal the active recollection. Its length was 11 minutes. Its weight was 180. Rook's safe limit was 100. The theft would consume 2 marked feathers and reduce his health by 20 points. Rook had 50 health. I touched the mana crystal in my pocket. Take the memory. Rook launched from my shoulder. Aldrich saw him coming and raised a barrier. The transparent wall formed too slowly. Rook passed over it, brushed one black wing against the professor's forehead, and returned. A pale glass bead rested in his beak. 2 marked feathers turned white. Rook's health fell from 50 to 30. Aldrich stopped speaking. His mouth remained open. Professor? Garen asked. Aldrich looked at the tribunal, the crowd, and the paper in his own hand. Why am I here? The words crossed 2,000 silent witnesses. Someone laughed. Then the entire lower court joined him. Aldrich turned in a circle. His prepared expression had disappeared. He looked like a man who had entered the wrong bathroom and found a royal meeting inside. What did you do? He shouted. I pointed at the truth mirror behind the judges. You claimed Rook used an illegal artifact. Let the court inspect what he took. Garen stood. No, unverified memories can be altered. Petra placed her hand on the mirror control. The court charter says all offered evidence must be tested before rejection. For the first time, the director looked at his daughter without pretending warmth. The coldness lasted 1 heartbeat. Petra saw it. So did I. Proceed, Garen said. Rook dropped the glass bead into the truth mirror. The court vanished from its surface. A dark office appeared. Aldrich sat at a table with Jarek's father. A bag containing 200 gold stood between them. Half the money was marked for Academy laboratories. 40 gold waited beside Aldrich's hand. Common students cannot feed high-rank familiars, the memory of Aldrich said. A phoenix given to an orphan will starve. Sponsor priority keeps the academy open. And keeps your cellar full, Jarek's father answered. The audience turned toward Jarek. He sat in the first row. His face lost all color. Students moved away from him as if shame could spread through a bench. The memory continued. A third man entered the office. He wore a gray coat with the black seal of the Imperial Soul Bureau. I knew his name from the summons, Inspector Marek. The altered selection is your private business, Marek said. I am searching for unregistered birds carrying severed bond marks. If one appears, secure it. If it cannot be secured, destroy it before the mark activates. Aldrich frowned. What does the mark do? That is above your rank. Hadrian wants every carrier alive. Hadrian, the head of the bureau? Marek leaned across the table. Do not say his name twice. The memory ended. The truth mirror displayed its judgment. The recollection had not been created or altered. Its soul signature belonged to Aldrich. The reaction struck like a physical wave. 2,000 voices filled the dome. Students demanded Aldrich's badge. Parents outside shouted about sold placements. The 4 instructors behind him stepped away. Even the tribunal guards removed their hands from their weapons. Jarek stood. My father told me the sponsor rule was legal, he said. No one answered him. He looked at me once, then left through the side doors while the crystal wall displayed the bag of gold above his head. Aldrich gripped the accuser's table. His motive was no longer hidden. Part of the money had supported laboratories. Part had supported him. He believed poverty made talent wasteful, so he sold the futures of poor students and called it efficiency. He was not a monster from a bedtime story. He was worse. He could explain every cruel thing he did. Garin struck the bell until the court quieted. The memory establishes misconduct, he said. It does not establish Nolan's innocence. Boos rolled through the balconies. Petra looked at her father again. Aldrich seized the last path available to him. I invoked the instructor's challenge. The court fell silent. An old academy law allowed a teacher accused, through unfamiliar magic, to demand a controlled duel. If the evidence holder lost, the memory would remain valid, but the class would be sealed pending outside review. If I won, no academy officer could touch Rook without the director's personal judgment. Garin could provide that judgment. The rule was not perfect. It was better than immediate erasure. I accept, I said. Tessa rose from her seat. His combat score is 110. Aldrich's is 3,200. The challenge is not to the death, Aldrich said. That sentence is not comforting when you are the man who throws fireballs at injured birds. The audience agreed. The center of the court changed into a dueling circle. 12 barrier pillars rose around it. The victory conditions were surrender, unconsciousness, or confinement for 30 seconds. I used the stored mana crystal on Rook. Blue light restored 10 health and turned 1 white feather black. He entered the ring with 40 health and 11 usable feathers. Aldrich carried a red staff worth more than the North Aviary. You have embarrassed me, he said. You think the crowd makes you strong. When they see you lose, they will remember why students obey instructors. They will remember your face inside the barrier. He almost asked what I meant. The judge dropped the flag. 3 fire lances crossed the ring. I rolled beneath the first. The second burned my sleeve. Rook pulled the third into his beak. 1 marked feather turned white. He released the lance into the floor between us, filling the circle with smoke. Aldrich did not panic. He had 6 years of combat instruction and enough mana to cast for an hour. Wind cleared the smoke. Stone chains rose around my ankles. I used push on my left boot. The weak spell moved it 2 inches before the chain closed. 2 inches kept the joint from locking. Rook attacked Aldrich's face. The professor expected him to steal the staff. He covered it with both hands. Rook took the new silver pin from his collar. The audience laughed. Aldrich's anger broke his rhythm. The stone chain around my right foot loosened for 1 second. I pulled free and ran toward the northern barrier pillar. He raised his staff. Grand prison. 6 walls of transparent force formed around me. The spell had a force of 800. Its theft weight was 98. Rook had one open slot. The wall stood within 12 meters. I pressed my palm against the inner surface. Take the prison. Rook pecked the top edge. The 6 walls collapsed into a clear bead. One marked feather turned white. I was free. Aldrich stared at the empty space. Return it, I said. Rook dropped the bead above him. 6 walls formed again. This time, Aldrich stood inside. The crowd began counting. 1, 2, 3. Aldrich attacked the wall with fire. His own prison absorbed the spell. 4, 5, 6. He struck the western panel. The force rebounded and knocked the staff from his hand. 7, 8, 9. The counting spread outside through the mirrors. 2,000 voices inside joined hundreds in the square. Aldrich tried to cancel the spell. Rook had stolen its ownership. The prison no longer recognized him as its caster. At 15, he stopped attacking. At 20, he covered his face. At 25, someone threw his discarded silver pin into the ring. At 30, the judge raised my flag. The grand prison opened. Aldrich stepped out to complete silence. His red robe was scorched. His hair stood upright. The silver letter J from yesterday would have improved his appearance. Petra removed the instructor badge from the tribunal table. Aldrich is suspended pending criminal review, she announced. Nolan's class is recognized under Academy law. He will receive 12 gold in compensation, unrestricted access to the familiar library, and restoration of all scholarship rights. The court erupted again. My public rank rose from 8 to 3. My base combat score increased from 110 to 420. Rook reached level 8. His safe theft limit doubled to 200. His range increased to 15 meters. The ranking board removed the words F rank failure from my record. It replaced them with Academy class holder. 2 days earlier, servants had dropped my clothes in front of the same students. Now instructors moved aside when I walked toward the exit. Power, resources, status. All 3 moved. Aldrich stood beneath the truth mirror while guards closed around him. His own memory still played above his head. He had tried to turn my public humiliation into a warning. Instead, 2,000 witnesses watched him lose his money, badge, and authority before lunch. Tessa waited in the aviary that evening. She had cooked beef stew in the largest pot she owned. Thick pieces of meat rested among potatoes, carrots, and soft onions. The sauce carried pepper, garlic, and a little red wine. She spread herb butter across fresh bread and toasted it over the stove until the edges became crisp. Rook sat beneath a blanket with 3 white feathers. He had eaten enough apple to feed a small horse. I placed the 12 gold on the table. Half goes to crystals, I said. 2 gold repairs the roof. 1 buys winter feed. It is your compensation. This is my home. Tessa stopped cutting bread. The word had left my mouth before I examined it. She looked around the old aviary. Rain tapped against one of the 6 leaking places. Small birds slept in the beams. Rook had hidden silver pins inside a cracked teapot. Then I suppose I should charge rent, she said. How much? 1 bowl of stew and first choice of the dry corner. Expensive. The market is cruel. We ate beside the stove. The meat separated beneath my spoon. Warm sauce soaked into the bread. For 10 quiet minutes, no one tried to erase my class, steal my familiar, or hit me with advanced fire. Tessa touched the bandage on my burned arm. You do not need to be calm every second, she said. It helps me think. You can be afraid and still think. I looked at Rook beneath his blanket. I was afraid when his health fell to 30. Good. Good? It means the system did not replace your heart with a calculator. Rook opened one eye and pushed a silver pin toward her. Someone knocked on the door. The knock was polite. 20 armored boots outside were not. I opened the door. Inspector Marek stood beneath a black umbrella. His gray coat carried the Imperial Soul Bureau seal. Behind him waited 2 wagons, 20 knights, and an iron cage large enough for a person. He looked past me at Rook. Professor Aldrich failed, he said. That is unfortunate. I prefer buying valuable things before I take them. He placed a banknote on the table. Its value was 500 gold. Sell me the raven, Marek said. If you refuse, tomorrow's public dungeon trial will prove that both of you are too dangerous to remain free. 500 gold could repair every cage and feed the birds for years. 3 days earlier, I had owned 4 copper coins. I looked at the iron cage outside. Its bars were 6 inches apart. It was not built for a raven. "Why is the cage large enough for me?" I asked. Marek smiled. "Efficient planning." I pushed the banknote back across the table. "Keep it. You may need to buy a better plan." The bureau knights heard me. 2 hid smiles behind their helmets. Marek did not become angry. Men like him paid other people to become angry. "The trial begins at noon," he said. "You will enter the glass mine beneath the academy, clear the registered route, and defeat its guardian. Refuse, and the director will approve immediate transfer." I made him confirm that all seals and gate commands would be public, then accepted. He left with the empty cage. "You refused 500 gold in less than 10 seconds, Tessa said. The cage answered before I did. I know. I still need a moment to mourn the roof. The 4th day began with 60 silver spent on crystals. Rook returned to 70 health with 12 black feathers, a safe limit of 200, and a range of 15 meters. My base combat score was 420. The registered guardian of the glass mine had a score above 12,000. The numbers were unfriendly. Petra forced Marek to admit Tessa as my legal handler. 3,000 people gathered around the projection mirrors. Someone had painted Rook's face on a shield. The face looked like an angry potato. Rook tried to steal the shield. The trial platform stood above the dungeon gate. Director Garin watched from the central seat. Petra sat at his right. Sabine managed the fate record at his left. Marek controlled the gate through a black metal seal. The inspector addressed the crowd. "The Bureau does not persecute talent. It protects the public from unstable classes. If Nolan completes the registered trial, I will withdraw my claim." The crowd shouted that he had better keep his word. Marek raised both hands like a generous king. "I welcome scrutiny." Rook stole the gold buckle from his belt. 3,000 witnesses watched Marek's trousers move 2 inches downward. He caught them before disaster. The crowd did not give him credit for speed. Rook dropped the buckle at my feet. "We have not entered yet," I told him. He looked pleased with our early lad. The gate opened. Tessa and I descended with 6 starlings linked to her senses. Crystal covered the mine walls, and every reflection moved a fraction late. Our first obstacle waited 50 meters inside. 12 chair-sized glass spiders dropped from the ceiling with a combined score of 900. Tessa's starlings drew them into false reflections. Their attacks cracked the walls, and my mana threads pulled 6 crystal plates onto their legs. Rook touched each victory mark. The public mirrors displayed 12 cleared enemies. The crowd outside counted with him. My score rose by 40. Rook reached level 9. The dungeon awarded 6 silver in crystal fragments. Power and resources moved before we reached the first gate. Marek warned that the Guardian would not be trapped so easily. I thanked him for his cheapest offer of the day. The second chamber contained a bridge over a black pit. A flock of blade bats slept beneath it. Their wings could cut leather armor. Tessa stopped me. "The bridge is wrong." "Which part?" "The air." My birds feel a pull toward the center. I threw 1 copper onto the bridge. It folded downward like a mouth. Rook dived after the coin until Tessa caught his tail. "I refused 500 gold, I told him. "You can survive 1 copper. We crossed along the iron support beneath the false bridge. Tessa's birds drew the bats toward the opposite wall. I used spark against the crystal. Hundreds of reflected lights filled the chamber. The bats attacked every false sun except the one in my hand. Rook stole the copper while we passed. The audience saw that too. At the second gate, I found the first sign of sabotage. The registered route turned right. A fresh black seal forced the door left. Tessa held 1 starling near it. The bird's eyes became my view. A tiny imperial crest marked the wax. "Marek," she whispered. The observer stone became silent. I held the crest toward the nearest recording crystal. "The registered route has been changed by a bureau seal," I said. 3,000 witnesses can see it. Marek's voice returned. "The mine shifts naturally. Continue." Sabine spoke through a second channel. "The seal was applied 9 minutes ago." The square outside erupted. Even through the stone, I heard the crowd. Garen's voice cut across the noise. "The trial has begun. A withdrawal now will be counted as failure." Petra answered him. "A sabotaged route invalidates the condition." Only if the inspector admits sabotage. Marek did not. The false gate opened by itself. Hot air rolled through it. I could withdraw and lose Rook through the director's judgment. Or I could enter a route chosen by the man who had brought a human-sized cage. Tessa, send one bird back. Why? If we do not return, Petra needs the physical seal. A starling peeled the black wax from the door and carried it toward the entrance. We continued. The next tunnel descended far below the registered mine. Bones appeared beneath the glass floor. Some belonged to monsters. Others wore academy boots. Tessa's hand found mine for 1 second. Neither of us commented on it. The tunnel ended at a circular chamber. A stone giant slept in the center. Ash covered its gray body. Iron stakes pierced its shoulders and back. Each stake carried an old academy number. The observer crystal identified it as an ash troll. Its level was 30. Its health was 30,000. Its physical strength was 12,000. Its active regeneration restored 500 health every second. The registered guardian had been a crystal worm. This creature belonged on a military raid. Marek had not changed a door. He had changed the trial. The troll opened its eyes. Our combined base score was less than 1/20th of its strength. Tessa released all 6 starlings. They attacked the troll's eyes. Their beaks could not hurt it, but they forced it to raise one hand. I cast thread around the closest iron stake and pulled with my entire body. The stake came free. The old wound closed before the metal struck the ground. 500 health returned. Rook dived and drove the loose stake into the troll's neck. The strike dealt 600 damage. The wound disappeared in less than 2 seconds. The crowd outside had become silent. Marek spoke through the observer stone. The Guardian exceeds the file estimate. Tragic errors happen in old dungeons. You may surrender your familiar and request rescue. How long will rescue take? 10 minutes. The troll could kill us in 10 seconds. It swung one arm. I pushed Tessa down. The stone fist passed over us and struck the wall. Crystal fragments filled the chamber. One cut my shoulder. Another pierced my leg. Rook attacked the troll's face. It caught him in one hand. Tessa screamed his name. I used push on the loose iron stake. 10 pounds of force moved the point 3 inches. It entered the troll's wrist. The hand opened. Rook fell. I caught him against my chest. His health had dropped from 70 to 42. The troll's wrist healed. The system described the ability as active possession. The troll owned 1 regeneration trait while its wounds were closing. The trait had a theft weight of 600. Rook's safe limit was 200. Taking it would consume 5 marked feathers and reduce his health to 8. The stolen trait would remain stable for 90 seconds after release. Rook looked at me. He understood through the bond. No, Tessa said. She had read my expression. Without it, we cannot win. 8 health is 1 bad landing. The troll charged. Tessa pulled me behind an iron pillar. The impact bent the metal. We had perhaps 3 more seconds. Rook pecked my thumb. He had made his choice. I opened my hand. Take its recovery. Rook flew. He passed beneath the troll's arm and landed on the open wound in its wrist. His beak closed on a strand of green light. The light resisted. Rook beat both wings. 1 marked feather turned white. Then a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth. The regeneration tore free. The troll's wound remained open. A green crystal formed in Rook's beak. His health fell to 8. He dropped from the troll's wrist. Tessa's starlings caught his wings long enough to slow the fall. I slid beneath him. The system asked where to release the stolen trait. Into me. The green crystal shattered against my chest. Pain became heat. The cut in my shoulder closed. The crystal fragment pushed itself from my leg. My health restored by 500 every second. The trait would last 90 seconds. The troll no longer possessed it. The audience saw both changes on the public mirror. 3,000 people began counting down from 90. I pulled the iron stake from the floor. The troll struck me in the ribs. Bone broke. The regeneration repaired it before I landed. I stood. The troll struck again. I moved forward through the blow. Its strength was 12,000. Mine was 460. I did not need to overpower it. I only needed to keep opening wounds that no longer closed. Tessa sent her birds toward the iron stakes. Each starling carried 1 mana thread. I pulled all 6 at once. The stakes came free. Black blood poured down the troll's back. Its health fell below 20,000. The crowd counted 60. Rook lay in Tessa's arms. He could not fly, but he lifted one claw and pointed toward the troll's left knee. One stake bore a different seal there, a control spike. I ran beneath the troll's neck swing and drove my iron weapon into the seal. The left leg locked. The troll fell onto one knee. Its health dropped below 10,000. The crowd counted 40. Marek ordered the recording mirrors to turn away. Petra countermanded him. Half the mirrors shook. Tessa's returning starling reached the square with the black wax seal. Sabine held it in front of the main projection. The imperial crest appeared above Marek's head. The crowd stopped counting long enough to boo him. I climbed the troll's back. It grabbed my leg and crushed it. The stolen regeneration repaired the bone while I pulled myself toward its neck. 20 seconds remained. I drove the last iron stake beneath its skull. The troll's health fell to 3,000. It reached backward. Tessa shouted. Rook opened one eye. He threw the copper coin from the false bridge. The coin struck the troll's right eye. Its hand changed direction by 1 foot. That was enough. I pushed the stake with both hands. The point entered the core. The troll's health reached 0 with 3 seconds remaining. The chamber became still. The regeneration faded from my body. Every repaired wound remained closed. I fell beside the dead guardian and laughed once because breathing hurt less than expected. Outside, 3,000 people screamed our names. The public board processed the victory. My base combat score rose from 460 to 2,600. Rook reached level 15. His safe theft limit became 800. We earned 50 gold, the Ash Troll's Heart Crystal, and first place in the Academy ranking. A city list opened beneath it. My position was 27. 4 days earlier, I had been last among 256 students. Now, my name stood among the strongest young class holders in the city. Power, resources, status. All 3 moved, while Marek's plan lay dead on the dungeon floor. The correct gate opened after the boss died. Academy healers carried Rook and me into the square. Tessa walked beside the stretcher with black blood across her coat. The crowd did not cheer when Marek stepped onto the platform. They threw black feathers. Thousands of feathers covered his gray coat. One stuck to his forehead. He tried to speak, but the crystal wall displayed his seal on the false gate, and the Ash Trolls altered registration behind him. Petra removed the Trial Master's badge from his chest. Grey Wing Academy suspends all bureau access pending royal review, she announced. Marek looked toward Garen. The director could not protect him in front of 3,000 witnesses without exposing himself. Inspector, Garen said, you should return to the capital. Marek's public combat score was more than 15,000. He could have killed every guard on the platform. Instead, he walked through the crowd while students repeated the number 3, the number of seconds left when his guardian died. Rook lifted his head from the stretcher and dropped Marek's gold buckle into Petra's hand. That received the loudest cheer. The infirmary gave us a private room. Tessa refused to leave. She fed Rook apple paste mixed with mana powder while I drank chicken rice soup. The broth carried ginger, green onion, and roasted garlic. Soft pieces of chicken fell apart against the spoon. After the dungeon, even plain rice tasted like treasure. 5 of Rook's feathers remained white. Restoring them would cost 1 gold. The trial had paid 50. The heart crystal was worth another 80 if sold. For the first time, the price of healing did not frighten me. Tessa sat beside my bed. You chose the regeneration after I told you not to. Rook chose first. That does not improve your defense. I am not defending it. She looked at the bandages around my chest. I thought both of you were going to die. So did I. Her fingers tightened around mine. Neither of us moved them away. Rook opened his eyes. He looked at our hands, made a quiet clicking sound, and stole the silver spoon from the soup tray. Then he flew through the open window. His health is 8, Tessa said. We both stood too quickly. Rook disappeared around the central tower. Tessa sent 2 starlings after him, but they returned without finding him. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Petra entered the infirmary carrying the restored black seal from the dungeon. My father has ordered the trial records locked, she said. I made 3 copies first. Good, Rook is missing. The window banged open. Rook fell onto the bed. He carried a transparent crystal almost as large as his body. No marked feather had changed because he had stolen a physical object. Fresh blood covered one wing. Light moved inside the crystal. A human face pressed against its surface. Petra stopped breathing. The crystal spoke in Director Garen's voice. "Petra, little star, do not trust the man wearing my face." Her knees struck the floor. The system identified the object in Rook's claws. It contained the complete soul of the real Director Garen. The infirmary door opened behind us. Director Garen stood there, smiling. "You found my missing crystal," he said. The 2 Garen voices were identical. Petra slid the crystal beneath the bed where one of Tessa's starlings caught its chain. "Why did it call me Little Star?" Petra asked. "You stopped using that name when Mother died." The crystal whispered one word: Severin. The warmth left the false director's face. His hidden pressure exceeded 10,000. Rook had 8 health, yet he still spread his damaged wings in front of Tessa. "A carrier survived," Severin said. "Hadrian will be pleased." He could kill us, but students and healers filled the corridor outside. Petra opened the door wider. "Father, the champion needs rest," she said loudly. "Inspect his reward during tonight's public ceremony." The word public stopped him. By then, the starling had escaped through the wall with Garen's soul. "Of course," Severin said, wearing the kind smile again. "Every student should attend." He left. The 5th day had begun. Petra led us through a service tunnel to the North Aviary. Sabine joined us there and certified the crystal. Garen's soul was genuine. His own body had carried another soul for 3 years. "A soul inside a living body has absolute ownership protection," Sabine said. Rook clicked his beak. "Yes," she added. "I heard myself say, absolute." Garen explained the plot. The city barrier required 100,000 units each year. Garen had designed a harmless network drawing small amounts of mana from 50,000 citizens. Severin wanted 12 poor students sacrificed instead. When Garen refused, bureau agents placed his soul in the crystal and Severin entered his body. The Academy core still required Garen's signature. Severin forced it from the crystal during each harvest. The next harvest would happen at the victory ceremony that night. 12 scholarship students were already hidden in the award list. The system that had stolen my familiar choice now planned to steal 12 souls. It always began with paperwork and ended with someone explaining why the victim was efficient. Stopping the harvest would weaken the barrier. I placed the ash troll heart on the table. It contained 80,000 units. The ceremonial mirrors could supply the missing 20,000 until Garen started his network. The system offered to consume the heart and heal Rook. I refused. We needed it for the city. I spent 1 gold on 5 mana crystals instead. Rook's feathers returned to black, and medicine raised his health from 8 to 70. Sabine found our only opening. When Severin forced Garen's signature through the core, his foreign soul would become visible for 8 seconds. "You want Rook to steal him?" Petra said. During those 8 seconds, Garen's body will actively possess Severin. The estimated weight exceeded 3,000. Rook's safe limit was 800. "No," Tessa said. "We have no other method." She looked at Rook, wiped her face, and opened the map of the hall. "Then my birds will make sure he reaches Severin before the 8 seconds end." Petra would open the core. Sabine would find the 8 seconds. I would replace the barrier energy. Tessa's birds carried our evidence to every ceremonial mirror. By sunset, 4,000 people filled the hall and square. The altar where Aldrich had erased my score now stood beneath a wall naming me Academy Rank 1 and City Rank 27. Students wore black ribbons. Merchants sold cakes shaped like Marek's lost buckle. Severin waited on the highest platform in Garen's body. 12 scholarship students stood behind him. I recognized their expressions. They were proud, nervous, and hungry. One boy's sleeves were too short. A girl had repaired the same shoe 3 times. None had a family seat in the sponsor section. Tessa stood among the familiar handlers. Rook hid beneath her cloak. Petra waited beside the Academy core. Sabine occupied the fate circle. Severin raised one hand. The hall became quiet. 5 days ago, Nolan received the lowest familiar in Academy history, he said. Through courage and unusual talent, he has risen to first place. Greywing rewards merit. The lie was large enough to require its own chair. The audience applauded. Severin smiled at me. Come forward and receive your title. I walked to the altar. Rook remained within 15 meters. Severin lifted a silver badge. Nolan, do you swear to place your class at the service of Greywing Academy and its lawful director? I will serve Greywing Academy. And its director? Its real one. The hall changed. Severin's smile disappeared. Arrest him. The doors closed. Academy guards surrounded the altar. Half looked confused. The other half carried black bureau marks beneath their collars. Severin pointed at Tessa. Search the handler. Recover the stolen soul crystal. Tessa raised both arms. Her cloak opened. Rook was not beneath it. Hundreds of birds entered through the upper windows. Every maintenance socket activated. The central wall displayed Aldrich's memory. Merrick's altered gate appeared on the side mirrors. Garen's face formed inside every remaining crystal. My name is Garen, his voice said. The man on the platform is Severin of the Imperial Soul Bureau. He has worn my body for 3 years. 4,000 witnesses heard him. The guards stopped. The 12 scholarship students backed away from Severin. Petra stepped onto the platform. When I was 6, my father called me Little Star. The night my mother died, he promised never to use the name again because it belonged to all 3 of us. The soul in this crystal remembered. The man wearing him did not. Severin laughed. A trained illusion, a grieving daughter, a thief using a forbidden class. Is this your proof? Sabine raised the seer's seal. I certify the soul as Garen. I certify the body as occupied. The crowd reacted like a wall breaking. Students shouted for the director to step away from the core. Parents pushed against the closed doors. Instructors tore bureau marks from the guards. The ranking wall removed Garen's name from the director's seat because the soul signature no longer matched. For 1 second, Severin stood alone beneath 4,000 accusing voices. Then he stopped, pretending. He pressed his palm against the academy core. Black light covered the hall. Every door sealed. The projection mirrors remained active, but their glass turned red. The 12 scholarship students rose from the floor. Pale threads pulled from their chests toward the core. Severin's hidden combat score appeared. 32,000. The shouting ended. This city contains 100,000 people, he said. His voice no longer sounded like Garen. It was thin and cold. The barrier consumes 100,000 units each year. 12 unnoticed children can save all of them. Garen chose a beautiful plan that would take 10 years to approve. I chose a plan that worked tonight. You sent half the energy to the Bureau, Petra said. Severin looked at her. Power pays for protection. The mirrors displayed a line from the stolen office memory. 50% reserved for barrier maintenance. 50% transferred to Hadrian's private vault. The reaction became rage. Severin lifted one finger. A force wave threw me through the award table. My score was 2,600. His was more than 12 times higher. While I stood, Tessa's birds pulled control wires from the red mirrors. Petra cut her palm against the director's seal. Half the barrier failed, and instructors dragged the 12 students away from the core, though the soul threads held them in the air. Rook dived from above the central mirror. Severin threw a black spear worth 6,000 force. Stealing it would waste the feathers needed for the soul. Do not take it. Rook folded his wings. The spear missed by 1 inch. Severin surrounded himself with 3 barriers. My soul weighs more than his class, he said. Rook has never respected weight limits. The raven dropped Aldrich's silver pin on his head. It bounced from the false director's nose before Petra opened the academy core. Then, Petra opened the academy core. The transparent soul crystal rested inside it. Garen's light entered the barrier. Severin shouted and pressed both hands against the core. He needed Garen's signature to complete the harvest. Black and silver light wrapped around the same body. Sabine's eyes turned blue. The opening begins now, she shouted. 8 seconds. The system recognized a new active possession. Garen's body currently possessed one foreign soul. The foreign soul belonged to Severin. Its theft weight was 3,800. Rook's safe limit was 800. The difference would consume all 12 marked feathers. Estimated survival was 1 health point. The chance of bond collapse was 40%. 7 seconds remained. Tessa whistled. Hundreds of birds covered the first barrier and gave Rook a moving bridge. He landed on their backs and ran. 6 seconds. The first barrier threw the flock outward. Rook jumped clear. 5 seconds. Petra released the director's control over the second barrier. It vanished. 4 seconds. I used push on Severin's loose badge. It entered his spell circle, turned his spear, and cracked the third barrier from inside. 3 seconds. Rook passed through. Severin caught him by the neck. 2 seconds. Rook remained 14 inches from his chest. He did not need to touch. "Take the thief wearing Garen's soul," I said. 1 second. Rook opened his beak. The world screamed. Black light tore from Garen's body. It formed the shape of a thin man with hollow cheeks and a metal crown burned into his forehead. Severin tried to hold the body. His hands passed through its chest. Rook pulled. The first 4 marked feathers burned. Severin screamed that the body belonged to him. 4 more became ash, while the system repeated that soul ownership could not be transferred. Rook pulled harder, and the law broke. Severin's soul collapsed into a black crystal between Rook's jaws. The final 4 marked feathers burned at once. Rook's health fell to 1. His wings became bare. He dropped. Tessa ran from the edge of the platform. I ran from the altar. She reached him first and caught his head. I caught the rest of him before either struck the floor. The black crystal rolled from his beak. Severin's face beat against its inner surface like a man trapped behind thick ice. 4,000 people watched him fail to escape a stone small enough to fit in my hand. Garen's body fell beside the academy core. The transparent crystal broke. Silver light entered the body. Petra knelt beside him. For 3 breaths, nothing happened. Then Garen opened his eyes. "Little star," he whispered. Petra struck him across the face. The sound carried through the nearest mirror. "You promised never to call me that again," she said. Garen touched his cheek. Then he laughed and pulled his daughter into his arms. The ceremonial hall erupted. Students cried. Instructors lowered their weapons. The 12 scholarship students fell as their soul threads snapped. Healers caught them. Their souls remained complete. The academy barrier began to fail. Cracks opened across the red mirrors. A roar rose from the dungeons beneath the city. I placed the ash troll's heart crystal into the core. 80,000 units of life energy entered the barrier. The ceremonial mirrors supplied another 20,000. Garen pressed his real hand against the seal and activated the voluntary network he had designed 3 years earlier. The cracks closed. Across the city, 50,000 people felt a tiny pull equal to 1 basic spell. No one died. No soul was removed. The lower dungeons remained shut. The public mirrors displayed the final count. 100,000 units received, 0 lives consumed. Severin's excuse died before the same witnesses who had heard it. Garen lifted the black soul crystal. "Severin will stand trial before the royal court," he announced. "Every record will be copied beyond bureau control. Inspector Marek will be arrested. Hadrian will answer for the stolen souls in his vault." At the sound of Hadrian's name, the black crown inside Severin's crystal burned. The bureau tried to destroy its agent from a distance. Rook lifted his featherless head and pecked the crown through the crystal. The flame vanished. He had no strength left to steal it. He had simply offended it. The crowd cheered anyway. The public board changed for the last time that day. My base combat score rose from 2,600 to 5,100. Rook reached level 20. My title became Keeper of the North Tower. The Academy awarded 300 gold and permanent ownership of the familiar wing. The building was valued at 800 gold. 5 days earlier, I had spent my last 2 copper coins on raw chicken for a raven with 0 attack. Now that raven had stolen a professor's fireball, a noble's luck, a corrupt memory, a boss's regeneration, and the soul of a man who had ruled the academy from inside another person's body. Power, resources, status. All 3 had moved farther than the world believed possible. The reaction lasted through the night. Students tore down Aldrich's rules, and parents surrounded the bureau office. Jarek returned without gold clasps. His father had been detained, and the sponsor contracts canceled. "I will earn my place now," he said. It was not an apology, but it was honest. The North Aviary became the North Tower before sunrise. Garen sent workers to repair the roof, but Tessa expelled them from the kitchen after one tried to paint over the bird's door. Rook rested in a basket lined with green cloth. All 12 marked feathers were gone. The healers said they would require 12 days to regrow. One might remain white forever. The victory had not erased its price. Tessa baked river fish with lemon and herbs. Potatoes roasted beneath it in garlic butter. She placed honey buns beside the stove and guarded them from Rook, even though he could barely lift his head. He stole one by pulling the cloth beneath the tray. "1 health point," she said. "He has 1 health point and still commits crimes." Consistency is a virtue. Petra ate with us before returning to her father. Sabine brought a bottle of apple drink and spent the meal explaining that she had never seen Fate look embarrassed before. Neither woman looked at me the way Tessa did. After they left, the tower became quiet. Tessa stood beside the round window. Dawn colored the repaired roof gold. "When Rook fell, I thought I had lost both of you," she said. "I was afraid too. You admitted that faster this time." "I am improving." She took my hand. "Your combat score increased by 2,500. Your emotional score increased by perhaps 3. Progress is progress." She kissed me. It was warm and brief. No crowd watched. No ranking board changed. Rook opened one eye, saw us, and covered his head with the stolen tablecloth. That made the moment better. A black carriage stopped outside the tower. An Imperial courier refused breakfast. He nailed a black notice to the door. The Imperial Soul Bureau denied every accusation. Its head, Hadrian, declared Garen's return an act of rebellion. The notice offered 10,000 gold for my capture and 1,000 for Rook. The Raven defeated Severin. "Why is his bounty only 1/10 of mine?" Rook's response was personal. The poster described him as a common crow. He rose from the basket with 1 health point, no flight feathers, and a honey bun stuck to his foot. Then he looked toward the capital as if he had just found the next shiny thing he intended to steal.